All right, everyone, welcome to the Journey Club. And these videos are a part of the first series of videos that Akshat and I are putting together. Now, all of these videos are in the umbrella of what we want you guys to be able to do very well, right? So, in my case, I'm going to start with how to document your life. Now, you guys know that I have created my entire brand and pretty much everything I do because I was documenting my life properly. Now, people have the wrong clue about a lot of things, and documentation being one where they essentially do not know what to do or how to document. Right. So, this video, I'm going to clear out everything. Right. So, the goal with this video is to show you that documentation in a way in which no one else does, and how to use the documentation as a foundation to build your presence online. Right. For this, you have to understand one thing. If you build influence, you get to be in control. Convincing is where you are pushing someone, right? But when you influence somebody, they are getting, you can say convinced on their own. And once you have an influence have has different levels, right? Firstly, you influence yourself, then you influence one person, then you influence a small group, and then you influence societies or even potentially the world. And the people who actually are the best influencers, you can say, are politicians or some of the biggest content creators that you see, for example, Mr. Beast or KSI, right? When you are influencing, you get to be in control and you are one step ahead of everyone because you know where people would go, right? One of the best things about influence, you can read this in Machiavelli's book called The Prince. It's that it's way more simpler to control the masses than you think. Okay, we will talk about documentation and influence in a way in which it's not directly influence, but the way that you are documenting, everything is thought of, and it's all going to be taken through the approach of influencing, right? So, in the context of content creation, there are three intents that you have to take care of. Okay, no matter what platform that you're on. First intent is authority. You need people to treat you as the authority, because then when you are selling something or you are directing people towards some place, they know that you are a credible person. Authenticity is where they build a connection with you. If people do not have a connection with you as a person or you as a brand, they will hesitate to take action in anything. And then third intent is growth. Every platform has certain types of content that is rewarded than rewarded more than the other ones, right? So you have to create a balance and you have to create mixes of these, right? That's it. These are the big umbrellas, and everything else comes under either one or multiple of these. Okay. One thing you have to realize about personal brand, and it's a dark truth, is that people are looking to find answers. They want to be the main character, yet they would rather live the journey through someone else than do it themselves. And you do it too. You just don't know it, right? When you are watching sports, right? You watch, let's say, I watch a lot of football. I am a Bayern Munich fan, right? So I feel happy when Bayern does well, and to some extent, it's kind of signaling that I am, craving for those wins because I used to play football myself, and I'm just satisfying that by watching sports. Okay, in this manner, whichever way that you go, you do it too, and you just don't know it. This gives you one choice, which is either you get in the creator team now, or you'll just be another consumer who does it. Okay, you do not want to be on the receiving end of this. You want to be the one who controls things. You want to be the one who dictates the direction, everything else, right? Now, one thing about documentation is that system is easy, thinking is hard. You might think that system is simple, but my goal with this video is to change the narrative. So you use you use the systems but with a different thought process. एक बहुत बड़ी चीज होती है, systems are made to follow you, your mind is not. there's this quote that I read somewhere which says, mind is a great servant but a terrible master, right? So you have to change your thinking. And let's say अगर मैं आज 100 लोगों को एक कोई सिस्टम दे दूं अराउंड कंटेंट क्रिएशन और सेल्स एक्सेट्रा, everyone receives the same system, but थोड़े बहुत लोग होंगे जो बाकियों से बहुत एक्सेप्शनल परफॉर्म करेंगे, एंड इट विल बी mainly because their thought process is right. Okay, now why would you document your journey? At the foundation, I would recommend you to learn to document your entire life so you can build authenticity and authority together. Once you understand the intent, you control the output. So थोड़े से use cases लेते, right? You build an influence online, you control the biggest advantage, which is distribution. Companies बहुत पैसा डालने को ready होती हैं. That's why influencers earn so much. That's why, you know, big 7-figure companies have multiple 6-figure budgets just to spend on marketing, or 9-figure companies spend tens of millions of dollars on advertising. वो क्यों है? Because they are borrowing distribution from other sources. Now ये चीज करनी पड़ती है, हर किसी को करनी पड़ती है, but the thing is, if you do not own your distribution, you will always end up relying on someone else. जैसे अगर तुम कोई प्रोडक्ट बनाते हो आज, तुम्हारा खुद का प्रेजेंस नहीं है, you won't be able to control the output to a certain extent. तुम्हारे को तुम्हारा पहला विन लाने के लिए भी इतना स्किन इन द गेम डालना पड़ेगा, वेयर इवन यू आर नॉट सर्टेन कि तुम्हारा पहला इन्वेस्टमेंट तुमको रिटर्न लाके देगा ही नहीं देगा. ओके, सो जो डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन कंट्रोल करने का एडवांटेज होता है, it's this one thing which is freedom to test at no cost and you even get paid for it. Take us creators for example, अक्षत और मेरे को ले लो. We have built our brands. हमें अगर कोई प्रोडक्ट बनाना है, राइट, हमने बना दिए हमारे प्रोडक्ट्स, अक्षत का प्रोडक्ट है, मेरा है, we own the distribution, so we can decide when we want to market, and when we market we make money, right? हमें एक्स्ट्रा इन्वेस्टमेंट की जरूरत ही नहीं है उसमें. Where if you take the cases of brand deals, I used to do brand deals but I don't do them anymore. I just don't want to do brand deals until it's really good. So वो companies हमारे पास में आती हैं to promote something because they know that we have the audience, you guys trust us, you guys have relatability with us, and I will get paid for it and they will get to borrow my audience. Okay, इसका सबसे बड़ा एक पार्ट तुम्हें याद रखना है. You do documentation and building influence right for a year, you only build a foundation. You do it right for 3 years, you make your first big amount of cash. You do it for 5 years or over a decade, you know, you are on the path towards financial independence and the world becomes your playground. Take Akshat and I for example, right? हमारे personal brand को बने हुए 2 साल हुआ है around, right? Now यहाँ पे एक चीज ये है कि we haven't even entered the phase where we are making an insane amount of cash. So the people you see with millions of followers, they had to put in the time, right? I get reached out to by influencers जिनके close to 1 million followers होने वाले हैं, and they tell me, bro, we don't know what to do with this. And because they haven't gone through the process for long enough to understand कि distribution का करना क्या है. Okay, एक चीज तुम ये याद रखना, I did it right to an extent and that's why you are here. Akshat did it right to an extent and that's why you are here. हमारे केस में क्या होता है, it's this: we live a certain life, we showcase it, we build influence without selling anything, we keep building authority on the influence we build to build authority. We test products, we preserve our own narrative, and we create our own presence in our way, right? अक्षत और मैंने हमारी लाइफ जी, राइट, हमने इंजीनियरिंग करी है, हमने हमारी जर्नी शोकेस करी, हमने वीडियोस बनाने स्टार्ट किए जहाँ पे देन after a point people started liking them and people started following us. Then we use that leverage जो हमारा ऑडियंस से बना to build more authority, and then फिर हमने उसी को एक लूप में करके जो हमने इन्फ्लुएंस बिल्ड किया है, that became our authority, and then we sold that authority even more with our content. And जब हमने उसको लूप पे करने लगे, that's where we got the flexibility to test our own products. And then वहाँ पे we maintained our narratives, right? मेरा narrative क्या है? That I train martial arts, right? I have a certain approach to everything. People might not align with the values that I have, and I don't care for it. I just want the people who are aligned. Okay, and this is my way of creating my presence. No one will take that away from me. And मेरे case में it's documentation. तुम आज जाके मेरे सारे के सारे वीडियोस देख लो, देयर इज अ हिंट ऑफ डॉक्यूमेंटेशन इन एवरी सिंगल वीडियो. ओके, now I have figured it out by spending more than 4 years in this space, and I see a big difference where people get it all wrong. If you're a beginner, right, and तुम लोगों को बताने लगोगे कि तुम्हारा बिजनेस कैसे सक्सेसफुल होगा, बट यू हैवंट बिल्ड इट योरसेल्फ, तुम्हारी वैल्यू की नीड नहीं है, बिकॉज यू हैवंट डन इट. अगर तुमने खुद ने नहीं किया होता है तो लोग सीरियस नहीं लेते हैं उस चीज को. ओके, यू आर गिविंग वैल्यू व्हेन इट्स नॉट नीडेड, और यू आर ट्राइंग टू बिल्ड स्टेटस व्हेन यू डोंट हैव इट. अगर तुम एक मिडिल क्लास फैमिली के हो, राइट, आई वोंट से दैट मेरे फैमिली की फाइनेंशियल कंडीशंस खराब थी. आई कम फ्रॉम अ रियली गुड अपर मिडिल क्लास फैमिली, राइट, बट वी आर नॉट मिलियनर्स इन आवर फैमिली. बट उसकी वजह से जो मेरा लाइफस्टाइल मेंटेन रहा है ड्यूरिंग कॉलेज, और द मनी व्हेन आई started freelancing, वो जो मैंने पैसा कमाया उससे, द status and the lifestyle that I built, I could say that I was ahead of some people, right? I was ahead of people जो लोग अपने कॉलेज में हैं, जो लोग वो कॉलेज वगैरह नहीं गए हैं, and they are trying to build something of their own, and I have achieved step one, right? So I did it. लोग नहीं करते हैं उस चीज को, and they try to build that. नहीं होता है वैसे, right? And the wrong perception of fake it till you make it. इसका मतलब समझो, fake it till you make it works when you are acting as yourself that is one step ahead. Okay, right now I have to act in a way in which I have to imagine my agency doing multiple six figures or close to $1 million, right? If I do that, I have the credibility, I am already in six figures, so I don't need to fake anything. It's just that I am operating from a slightly different frame of mind, जिससे I get to be in that thought process every single time, and I could show up as more authoritative. Now, इसकी वजह से क्या होता है? People either know it or people learn it the hard way when whatever they put out, it doesn't perform, and they end up not documenting at all. Or, like I said, they do it in the wrong way. They end up building influence on something where people don't take you serious. Okay? अगर तुम्हें अपना एक बिजनेस रिलेटेड पर्सनल ब्रांड बनाना है, या फिर तुम्हें अपनी अथॉरिटी रिलेटेड एक पर्सनल ब्रांड बनानी है, but then you have built your own whole personal brand on comedy, or you have built your own personal brand on, let's say, something extracurricular like music or dance, तुमको लोग उस स्पेस में सीरियसली लेंगे. But when you change it, people won't take you seriously because they'll be like, तुम्हारा अथॉरिटी क्या है, तुम्हारा क्रेडिबिलिटी क्या है स्पेस में. Okay? Or even if you build authority in a way, people will end up treating you like a friend who they never buy from and ask for discounts on everything you provide. हमारे सबके ऐसे दोस्त होते हैं जो हमें बोलते हैं कि ब्रो ये काम सस्ते में करवा दे, या फिर इफ यू क्रिएट समथिंग दे बी लाइक ब्रो मेरे को फ्री में भेज, फ्री में कर. दोज आर द पीपल दैट यू डू नॉट वांट. एंड ये चीज कब होती है? वेयर यू डू इट इन अ रॉन्ग वे. ओके, इफ यू talk too much about authority, people won't have authenticity with you. If you only talk about authenticity, like अगर तुम इतने सारे personal brands देखते हो आजकल, where people know how to create good videos, but all they talk about is how 20s is a difficult life, or how living in your 20s it's tough mentally. And then वो तुमको relatable scenarios बता देते हैं, you feel good, you follow them, but then when they sell, you're like, bro तू क्यों sell कर रहा है, तेरे को खुद को कुछ नहीं आता. It's because there's a disconnect. Okay, so take documentation seriously and document everything, but showcase what you want. पहला स्टेप हमने जो डिस्कस किया था, विच इज कंट्रोल द आउटपुट एंड अंडरस्टैंड द इंटेंट. दिस इज व्हाट वी नीड, एंड इट्स बियॉन्ड जस्ट पोस्टिंग कंटेंट. ओके, so if you are talking particularly about documentation, you need to have an end goal, and admit it. You are not any philanthropist कि भाई तुम डॉक्यूमेंट इसलिए कर रहे हो because you want to do it for a greater good. Okay, तुम्हारा होगा, but for example in my case I'm not there yet. I don't know कि मैं philanthropy वाले एंगल में अगर कभी जाऊंगा तो what will I do? Okay, so I'm not going to pretend that I'm doing this. We are all here to make good money first. Change this perception about money, that money is bad. When you have enough of it, money loses its meaning, and that's what we want, because उसके बाद में actual freedom आता है. When you have enough of money, that's when you find your purpose or passion later. अभी तुम्हें जरूरत नहीं है तुम्हारे पर्पस या पैशन की. Spend your entire 20s on this one thing. Okay, I'm in the later half of 20s. I'm 26 now. Okay, so I still don't know what my passion is. I'll be very frank. Even agency is not my passion, but it's one thing that I do well. So I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna maximize it. I'll have my own cash flow business, and then I'll figure out what I want to do in the long term, a few years from now. तो मेरा current goal क्या है? My current goal is I want to have multiple cash flow businesses. I want to have authority in the space. And then I want to build more scalable businesses that I could sell. And then this is me making myself bulletproof to an extent कि अगर कोई कल इमरजेंसी आती है where I have to spend an insane amount of money, I would not care about it and I would not feel worried about it. Okay, because we all have a habit of thinking about problems that are not in the present. Okay, तुम लोग कुछ भी स्टार्ट करते हो, तुम पहले ही चिंता करने लग जाते हो कि यार अगर ये हो गया तो फिर क्या करेंगे, अगर वो हो गया तो क्या करेंगे. Make money so you never have to worry about this. Okay, and just like you, I will figure out my life's goal later. So this is the best system to document your life. पहली चीज एक बस ही ध्यान रख लेना, you are beaten before you start, probably, because if you are afraid to document your journey, you will never be on this path. And अगर तुमको नहीं करना documentation, you're already beat. One of the main issues that people have, it's that people don't want to post because they are scared. एंड अगर तुम्हारा कोई इशू नहीं है एंड यू आर ऑलरेडी क्रिएटिंग कंटेंट, अगले वाले सेक्शन पे स्किप कर लेना. बट इफ यू आर स्टिल हियर एंड यू वांट टू ओवरकम दिस, देयर इज नो अदर वे than to confront the limiting belief. Obstacle is the way, we know, right? तुम्हारे सामने एक प्रॉब्लम है, तुम्हें उसको हराना पड़ेगा, but it doesn't mean that you have to go directly through it. You tackle your insecurities one by one and it will make sense as we move forward, right? But ये वाला जो part है, that's where you have to understand yourself at a very deep level. Okay, you have to be clear and be honest with yourself, where what are the things that you do well and what are the things that you don't, because when you accept it, that's when you start to change. Okay, so the whole point of this is, through documentation, build your brand and build it with real intention, authority and authenticity. Okay, in my case, I would rather have $1 million than have 1 million followers that don't value me. And how do you stay a step ahead, right? How do you build that influence where you are in control and you are a step ahead? In this world where most people are fake, you be real. Okay, that's staying one step ahead. You just do this one thing, you stay one step ahead. Okay, so some of the different levels of documentation, बहुत सारे तरीके होते हैं. I live in documentation. Okay, मेरे just सामने एक notebook है, just like I have shared in my videos. I have one personal journal and I have one journal for MMA. I have these, you know, sheets where I brainstorm. I have a different notebook for my sales calls, and then I have a small, terrible to-do list from Rhoda where I keep all my leads and tasks. And then I have sticky notes in front of, like, stuck on my monitor where I have some goals of my own. Okay, so with that, there are levels. Okay, so सबसे पहले हम बात करेंगे physical के बारे में. फिजिकल मेथड्स में इट्स वेयर यू पिक अप द पेन एंड यू राइट इट. लोगों ने अपना लिखने का एबिलिटी खो दिया है विद द अमाउंट ऑफ पीपल हु आर ओवर रिलाइंग ऑन एआई. दे हैव लॉस्ट द एबिलिटी टू राइट विद अ पेन, राइट? दे डोंट नो. तुमने अगर अपने स्कूल में हिंदी लिखी है, आज अगर मैं तुम्हें बोल दूं कि तुम्हें एक पेज हिंदी में लिखना है, यू विल हैव सो मेनी इश्यूज राइटिंग वन पेज विदाउट मेकिंग एरर्स. You will feel bad about yourself. That's why I personally never want to lose this skill. जितने भी मेरे पास digital systems हैं, physical methods is what keep me sane. I made a tweet a few days ago which said, the amount of pens you empty on paper, that's directly proportional to the clarity you have. Documentation gives you clarity. Documentation will help you build your brand. Multiple purposes. So physical में rough notebooks, document everything that is happening in the moment. Have specific journals. So if you are pursuing something other than your work, or you need notes where those are targeted and you don't want to go to the hassle of finding them. For example, ये जो मेरी notebook है, I never look back more than 2 or 3 pages, because that is something that I know कि ये moment में हुआ था, and I can just take things apart and I can forget it. Have specific journals, so you document specific things. I have a separate notebook for sales, like I said, so I only take sales call notes यहाँ पे. I have one notebook where I do my MMA journal, so I write down what I learned, etc. I have a daily journal where I try to write it daily, but ज़्यादा frequently नहीं हो पाता है इन दिनों, where I just look at my to-do list and I write my day. Then I have flashcards, etc. All of it. Then digital methods में you have your notes app, so you document things in your phone. You have Notion. Notion is something that Akshat and I, we have been using for years now. And then Cortex, Akshat ने बताया था, and then I hopped on Cortex as well, and like I'm just trying to figure my way out. Another level of documentation is voice notes. So whenever, अगर तुमने सूट्स देखा है तो लुइस उसमें डिक्टाफोन से डॉक्यूमेंट करता है हर चीज को. यू कैन डू दैट ऑन योर ओन. एंड अनदर थिंग इज, तुम्हारा जो फोन का फोटो ऐप है या फिर गैलरी ऐप जो है, उसमें स्टार्ट क्रिएटिंग एल्बम्स. पर्पस कुछ भी हो सकते हैं. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, आई picked up this one habit after watching an Alex Hormozy video, is that I take a screenshot of my bank statement, preferably every day, and then मैं उसको एक एल्बम के अंदर रखता हूँ. So whenever I'm feeling bad, I can just go back to it, and then I can see कि growth कैसी है या फिर कम कहाँ पे रह रहा हूँ. So it keeps me in check. One thing that you understand is, like I said, तुम्हें control करना पड़ेगा output. You have to maintain a separation between personal and public. Okay? Personal journals, it's where you are seeing your thoughts. You tend to overthink because तुम्हारा दिमाग उनको एक लूप में रख लेता है. But when you empty everything on paper, you will not overthink, because then it will just become another problem that you see in front of yourself. Right? You judge others based on what they say, and you never judge yourself based on what you think. And this is the one method that solves it. Keep the personal journal secret where no one sees it. तुम्हें अपनी कवर्ड्स में छुपानी है, तुम्हें अपने कहीं भी छुपाना है, उनको वहीं पे रखो. One thing is clear: if you want to win in front of others, you have to confront yourself for everything. तुम्हारे अगर अंदर क्लैरिटी नहीं रहेगी एंड तुम खुद के साथ में ऑनेस्ट नहीं हो, which this enables, then you will just not be able to show up as a person in public. That will build influence. That's where, if you think about public documentation, you be selective with what you want to show. And a healthy habit for it is, every week pick out one day where you have one place where you document all of the ideas that you have. Okay, so I do it in Notion in my IG content process. I'll show you. So what I do is I document in content ideas. So whenever I mean ये बहुत messy है, but I don't want to make it more organized, because this is the way that I've been doing it. So if I have any thought that, okay, this is something that I want to document, that I want to show, I do not have a method yet where I document it in long form first and then मैं उसको breakdown वगैरह करूँगा. I write it in my Instagram content process first. So let's say right now, if I am telling people about documentation, and I just told you guys about you judge people others based on what they say, but you don't judge yourself based on what you think. I might just have that as a content idea. Right? This is me documenting done. Because लोगों को तो एक चीज दिक्कत क्या होती है, it's that they often worry about what they are forgetting, कि उनको याद नहीं रहता कि मैं क्या भूल रहा हूँ. उस चीज की चिंता ज्यादा होती है than actually forgetting the thing. तुम्हारी अगर मम्मी ने तुमको कुछ काम से भेजा है, राइट, तुमको एक लिस्ट पकड़ाने को बोला था, बट तुम्हारे पास में लिस्ट नहीं है, देन तुमको मालूम था कि यार 4 चीजें थी, बट तुमको 3 ही याद आ रही हैं, बट यू डोंट नो व्हाट द फोर्थ वन इज. सो यू आर वरीड बिफोर the actual thing happens, right? So it's similar. You have to document things in a way in which तुम्हें भूलने का डर नहीं है, right? You know that you will be reminded. So for example, if I am on my system, I document everything in Notion. If Notion is not in my reach, I don't keep Notion or anything in my phone. I just write it in Apple Notes and then just cut and paste from there, because I know कि मेरे पास में एक time block होगा हर हफ्ते where I'll document. And like I said, I'm not the most organized. I still track every idea on Notion whenever I get the hit. अगर तुम लोगों को proof चाहिए, So these are not the ideas, like these are not just the ideas. Like I have so many of these. Wait, I'll show you. So I have these ideas, and then if I go back to my IG content process, like old idea bank, there's an insane amount of ideas that I have, right? इतने सारे ideas हैं जो मैंने कभी film किए भी नहीं, that I selected, and then I have several versions of it. Like I document so much that I never have to think about what I want to do, right? Another thing is you document for yourself. So I assume that because I talk to a lot of people and I see that people have stopped the habit of writing with a pen. You start here. Okay, this is the training regimen for you. You get one ruled notebook. You get one to-do list. You start religiously following your to-do list. Okay, and right before going to bed, you turn off your phone for like 20-30 minutes. Turn off every dopamine source. Okay, sit in a low lit environment where you can only see your notebook and you can't see anything else, and try to recall every part of the day. So this is I won't show you the personal journal because a lot of personal stuff, but I'll show you from here कि तुम लोगों को दिखेगा कि हर एक पेज बिल्कुल एंड तक भरा हुआ है. Okay, so this is a personal boundary that I have with myself, is that if I start writing something, I have to finish that page until the end. अगर मेरे को समझ में नहीं आ रहा, I'll just write random stuff that's on my mind at that moment, but I just do it. And it's therapeutic, I'm telling you. Okay, so have this one obligation कि तुम्हारा जो भी notebook है, if you start a page of journaling, that page has to be filled until the end. Okay, and all the lines have to be covered, and don't follow any real structure जो तुम डोपामीन लेते हो प्रोडक्टिविटी गुरुज वगैरह से. वो तुम्हें 10 तरीके के मेथड बताते हैं. इट्स ओनली सस्टेनेबल टू अ डिग्री. ओके, ज्यादा एक टाइम बाद में तुम नहीं कर पाते. सो हैव एट इट, इजी तरीके से स्टार्टिंग में, एंड देन आफ्टर अ पॉइंट यू राइट इन योर ओन वे. So start and end the documentation in your personal journal in any way you like. So these are the things that I write about. I write about how I feel at that moment, how I like, what are the things that I did, things that I accomplished in that day, or things that I accomplished recently. What are the things that I did not do? I rate myself brutally. I start off all of the pages in my journal by saying shitty day or a really good day, stuff like that. And how are you going to improve tomorrow? So if you are clueless while you are documenting in your notebooks about not being able to finish the pages, just write what you're going to do the next day, right? And write. Even if it takes you 1 hour for one page, write. Over time, वो habit अच्छी हो जाएगी and you will only need 10 minutes to write one page, right? ये चीज तुम्हें सिर्फ और सिर्फ मेंटली ट्रेन नहीं कर रही है इन टर्म्स ऑफ आर्टिकुलेटिंग योर थॉट्स ऑन पेपर. यू विल ट्रेन फॉर ब्रेविटी एज वेल. कि ओवर टाइम तुम्हें मालूम पड़ जाएगा कि यार मेरे को अगर एक ही पेज में सब कुछ लिखना है, आई हैव टू मच टू से, सो आई हैव टू बी लाइक आई हैव टू फॉलो ब्रेविटी इन माई स्पीच और इन माई राइटिंग. ब्रेविटी का मतलब क्या है कि बड़े आइडियाज को छोटे आइडियाज में करके तुम कन्वे कर रहे हो. एंड एक चीज याद रखना, whenever you are writing and you are journaling, be so present in that moment. It's not just documentation, it's training you mentally to be healthy. Okay, ये तुम्हें present रहना सिखाएगा moment में. It's a skill that we are forgetting. People are never in the present, and I've personally felt that I enjoy, like, some of the best times I have is when I either I'm with my family, loved ones, or I'm writing on paper. And when you're writing, focus on not striking off everything. So जल्दबाजी मत करो, टाइम लो, आराम से लिखो. Okay, you train your mind for this, तुम्हारा focus next level पे develop हो जाएगा after a few weeks. Okay, and then how do you document using other sources? So सबसे पहले, like, I'll tell you how I use my to-do list. I write on my to-do list right before I'm going to bed, and I write it in priority. So सबसे ऊपर के जो 4-5 tasks हैं उनको high priority पे रखूंगा. उसके बाद में लो प्रायोरिटी वाले टास्क, एंड देन थोड़ा गैप छोड़ के बॉटम में वो टास्क दैट इफ आई गेट द टाइम फॉर इट आई विल डू इट, इफ नॉट देन आई विल शेड्यूल इट फॉर सम टाइम एल्स. नाउ जब तुम नेक्स्ट डे उठो, द फर्स्ट 10-15 minutes बिफोर यू स्टार्ट योर वर्क डे, block out your calendar accordingly. So I'll show you my calendar. Yeah. So this is how I plan out my calendar currently. Okay, so you will see that I have Makers Day, Managers Day, like Alexa Music का वीडियो मैंने प्लग करा है काफी बार. And then at 9 a.m. I plan out my day. So 15 मिनट तक I just look at my to-do list and I see कि मैं कैसे tackle करने वाला हूँ इस day को. And then after that, I training is फिक्स फॉर मी. सो मेरा ट्रेनिंग का टाइम ब्लॉक हमेशा वैसा का वैसा ही रहता है, राइट. आई नो कि मैं ट्रेन कब कर रहा हूँ. सो ऑल ऑफ माई डे इज स्ट्रक्चर्ड अराउंड दैट. देन आफ्टर दैट, फॉर द फर्स्ट फ्यू आवर्स इन द मॉर्निंग आई डू नॉट टॉक टू एनी वन. आई जस्ट वॉन्ट टू वर्क अलोन. सो दैट्स वाई these makers block, these are focused work blocks. So makers block में time block करता हूँ. And then I look at my to-do list, I see what are the tasks that I have to do earliest, and then मैं उनको prioritize करता हूँ. And then after that, again another maker's block. And then I have several days where I am just getting on calls, right? So for example, if it's empty, it means that I was on calls. But मेरे को particularly Tuesday याद है क्योंकि बायन का मैच था रात में, and I woke up at like 12. तो उसके बाद में मेरा डीप वर्क का मेंटली फोकस मैं नहीं कर पा रहा था, तो आई जस्ट टॉक टू माई टीम मेंबर्स. इस टाइम पे मैं घर पे था. बट यू विल सी दैट फॉर एग्जाम्पल, टेक दिस वीक, आई हैड this Monday where I was just doing calls, and then after that, I just prioritized everything, right? So थोड़ी बहुत चीजें, like some rules of thumb. If a task takes you less than 5 minutes, उन सबको बंच टुगेदर करो. एक 30-40 मिनट्स का टाइम ब्लॉक रखो एंड टेक केयर ऑफ ऑल ऑफ देम. इफ those small tasks need to be done today but उनका प्रायोरिटी कम है, put it lower in the to do list. If it's for tomorrow or another day, अपने to do list में आगे जाओ and then write it. So for example, you will see that मेरे आज के टास्क में ये है, but I have already written some tasks for tomorrow, and ये मैंने कल नहीं लिखे थे. I wrote these a few days ago. Okay, तो तुम इस तरीके से रखो. And let's say if अगर तुमको to do list में नहीं रखना है, schedule things in your calendar, like legit some of the easiest things. यहाँ पे क्या होता है, फॉर एग्जाम्पल आई नो दैट संडे को मैं यहाँ पे नहीं हुआ पुणे में, सो आई विल जस्ट ब्लॉक ऑफ एवरीथिंग एंड देन आई नो दैट दैट आई विल बी इन बॉम्बे विद फ्रेंड्स. ओके, सो आई नो, तो यहाँ पे इवेंट बन गया. दैट वे आई, इवन इफ आई लुक एट माई टू डू लिस्ट कि भाई संडे को क्या करना है, आई नो कुछ भी नहीं है क्योंकि मैं हूँ ही नहीं यहाँ पे. Then next thing, how do you document more things is you get flashcards. So Amazon पे जाओ, लिखो flashcards with keyrings. तो तुम्हें इस तरीके के छोटे से ivory sheet के papers मिलेंगे, right? And then you will also get keyrings. तो ये keyrings में क्या होगा? When you are consuming anything, तो तुम इनको यूज करके mini summaries बनाओ. Keep the fucking digital stuff aside. Make summaries physically. Okay, so for example, I was reading the Art of Conversation, like I was going through Art of Conversation by Prakhar. मैंने ज़्यादा कुछ तो नहीं किया, but I created a separate keyring for it. तो जो भी मैंने चीज़ें सीखी, I just started making notes of it, and मैं उनको यहाँ पे रखता हूँ. One thing that helps a lot, I learned it in Jason Capital's course back in 2020, is that right before going to bed and right after waking up, that's when your mind is in a state where information goes to the subconscious easier than the rest of the day. तो तुम्हें वो जो चीज़ें जो तुम प्रायोरिटी पे याद करना चाहते हो या फिर तुमने डॉक्यूमेंट करी एंड यू वांट टू इंटरनलाइज ऑल दोस थिंग्स, सोने जाने से 10 मिनट पहले नोट्स उठा लेना. सिर्फ इनको गो थ्रू करना, नो नीड टू पुट योर माइंड टू इट, ज़्यादा थॉट लगा के मत पढ़ना. एंड देन राइट आफ्टर वेकिंग अप रीड देम अगेन. ओके, सो हाउ डू यू क्रिएट मिनी समरीज, और तुम किस चीज़ के बारे में बनाते हो? एनीथिंग दैट यू कंज्यूम और यू वांट टू टेक केयर ऑफ. लेट्स से तुमको कंटेंट आइडियाज के बारे में एक फ्लैश कार्ड वाला अपना सेट रखना है, do that. Okay, if you are not comfortable using Notion, have a flashcard set where it's content ideas, and then whenever you get a content idea throughout the day, keep it on your desk and idea आते लिख लो वहाँ पे. एक चीज का और ये होता है कि let's say if you are, like I said, मैंने जैसे आर्ट ऑफ कॉन्वर्सेशन के बारे में बनाया, I have several for sales courses, I have one for psycho-cybernetics, I have one for the Millionaire fast lane, like all of those books. So I know कि मेरे को books को नहीं पढ़ना है वापस से, but I want to just revise the pointers that I learned. So I will just open up those flashcards and मैं वहाँ से उनको एक बार बस go through कर लूँगा. एक चीज़ बस याद रखना, जब भी तुम flashcards बना रहे हो, never keep it more than 2 lines. So 2 लाइन से ज़्यादा जाओगे तो information फिर वो बल्कि हो जाती है, राइट? कभी कभी ठीक है, बट मेजॉरिटी टाइम्स पे नहीं. तो ये चीज कर सकते हो। नाउ फ्लैश कार्ड्स को तुम किस किस में यूज कर सकते हो? बुक्स, कोर्सेज के लिए यूज करो, पॉडकास्ट अगर कोई देख रहे हो उसके लिए यूज करो, वीडियोस देख रहे हो उसके लिए करो, एटसेट्रा कंटेंट आइडियाज लाइक। ओके, इसके बाद में बाय सम स्टिकी नोट्स। ओके, सो हमेशा तुम्हारा डे प्लान करने से बेटर एक एक्टिविटी होती है, यू प्लान योर वीक। ओके, सो यू set weekly goals on Sunday. For example, these are the weekly goals that I had for this week. It says week 48 on top, and then उसके बाद में मेरे projects हैं. So I keep it right in front of me मेरे monitor पे चिपका के, या फिर तुम्हारे सामने तुम wall पे चिपका दो या कहीं पे, somewhere where it's visible regularly. Okay, and then sticky notes में तुम categorize कर सकते हो. For example, weekly accomplishments, like I said, maybe secondary projects that you're working on. I have some secondary projects that I fuck. And then after that it's secondary projects. Okay, reminders, goals that you have for yourself, कुछ भी रखो. I often, let's say अगर मेरे को मेरी फैमिली को कोई गिफ्ट देना है, I write those gift, and I, for example, जैसे मैंने मेरे टू डू लिस्ट के एंड में लिख रखा है कि मेरे को गिफ्ट देना है, so I often have those sticky notes in front of me. एक चीज का इसका फायदा क्या है कि डिजिटल मेथड्स में तुम्हें उन चीजों को खोल खोल के देखना पड़ेगा बार बार, बट व्हेन यू राइट इट तुम अपने सामने रख सकते हो एंड यू गेट रिमाइंडेड ऑफ दोस थिंग्स. Then you have specific journals, like I said, तुम अपने hobbies के journals बनाओ. I'm telling you, hobbies are the biggest cheat code to win at this moment. इसका मतलब क्या है? Let's say तुम online business में grind कर रहे हो, but then you also love playing chess. अपने chess के notes बना लो. Like how are you improving? तुमने जो आज 5 matches खेले उसमें तुम कैसा करे, etc. Keep track of what you are doing on the side, right? Let's say if you are doing workouts in the gym, workouts को track करो. मेरे लिए इट्स मार्शल आर्ट्स, सो आई ट्रैक द टेक्निक्स एंड द थॉट्स दैट आई हैड व्हाइल स्पारिंग, रोलिंग एटसेट्रा. अगर तुम्हारे वर्क है तो वर्क को भी सेगमेंट करो. जैसे मेरे पास में सेल्स कॉल्स का नोटबुक है. आई ऑल्सो हैव वन बिग नोटबुक फॉर कोर्स नोट्स. सो जब भी मैं कोई कोर्स देख रहा होता हूँ, आई जस्ट टेक कोर्स नोट्स इन जस्ट दैट वन नोटबुक. एंड देन अगेन सेकेंडरी प्रोजेक्ट्स. Another levels of documentation is you take pictures and videos of everything. So let's say अगर Instagram सबसे बड़ा हैक है legit, okay? फॉर एग्जाम्पल अभी मैं ये राइटिंग सेशन करने वाला हूँ, सॉरी मैं ये फिल्मिंग सेशन कर रहा हूँ. सो आई अपलोडेड एन इंस्टाग्राम स्टोरी राइट बिफोर इट सेइंग दैट बिग रिकॉर्डिंग सेशन. एंड इसका प्रेजेंट में कोई मीनिंग नहीं है, ओके, बट देन आई नो दैट देर आर टाइम्स व्हेन आई एम जस्ट बोर्ड एंड आई वांट टू सी माय प्रोग्रेस. सो आई गो इनटू द स्टोरी आर्काइव्स एंड आई जस्ट सी कि मैंने क्या क्या किया था यार. एंड बिकॉज आई पुट आउट स्टफ, आई नो, एक चीज बस याद रखना, वॉट एवर गोज ऑन द इंटरनेट स्टेज ऑन द इंटरनेट. सो मेरे को मालूम है कि अगर मैंने ये फोटो डाली है, सो आई बी रिमाइंडेड ऑफ इट, एंड दैट ऑलवेज डज गुड मेंटली. एंड लाइक आई सेड, यू स्पेंड सम टाइम एवरी वीक टू क्रिएट स्पेसिफिक एल्बम्स. एंड ये सब चीजें तुम्हारे कंटेंट में प्ले करेंगी आगे, एंड आई एक्सप्लेन इट. ओके, specific albums banao, maybe pictures that you want to use in carousels, maybe thumbnail photos, maybe stories that you want to post. मेरे पास में YouTube Music पे एक playlist है which says IG stories. So I what whichever song I like, I see कि ये मैं music stories में use कर सकता हूँ. I just add those in that playlist. Send voice notes to yourself. Voice notes को सुनो, उनके notes बनाओ. Document content ideas, document project ideas. तुम कहीं walk पे गए हो, तुम्हें कोई अच्छा idea आया, document that, right? And then you send video ideas to yourself on IG with a secondary account. This is how I document a lot of my journey. मेरे को अगर कोई क्रिएटर मिलता है and I see that okay, this creator is doing really good and I have to learn from them, मैं खुद के like मेट्रो मीडिया उस अकाउंट पे भेज देता हूँ कंटेंट, या फिर I send it to one of my team members saying that कि मेरे को रिमाइंड करा देना when I'm filming my next batch, so that way I know कि मेरे को याद नहीं करनी पड़ेंगी ये चीजें. And then there you go. Clarity is directly proportional to the pens you empty on paper. This is the quote that I came up on my own, and ये मैं इसको patent करा लूँगा. But anyways, now let's talk about in terms of content. So you have to journal content ideas. Everything that you are going through is a content idea. तुमने ये जितनी चीजें यहाँ पे लिखी है ना, all of them can be turned into content if you think about it that way. Because you will be living in these notes, everything will become content for you. एंड तुम्हारा काम होना चाहिए स्टोरी टेलिंग. स्टोरी टेलिंग से तुम ऑथेंटिसिटी बनाओगे, तुम अथॉरिटी बनाओगे, तुम ग्रो भी कर सकते हो बिकॉज एवरी प्लेटफॉर्म रिवॉर्ड्स स्टोरी टेलिंग. तुम्हारा कुछ भी हुआ है, whether you had a breakthrough, you had a breakdown, you have an insight, document content ideas like I showed you here. Let's go inside. तो मेरे को एक आया था कि ओके, आई वांट टू बिल्ड मोर अथॉरिटी ऑन माय पर्सनल ब्रांड, सो आई स्टार्टेड डूइंग मोर अथॉरिटी कंटेंट पीसेस. So right now you see that it's personal brand, freelance pathway, uh, personal branding, agency lessons, opportunities with content, morning routines, and then have a separate section around personal branding जहाँ पे मैं marketing का angle लेके content ideas को ideate कर रहा हूँ. Like ये सब चीजें यहाँ पे नहीं थी, and these all came to life when I started documenting them, and when I was creating content or I was ideating content, I spent time with these things, and मेरे को लगा कि okay, this could be content, this could be content. And one thing that I do that helps me go through failures a lot better is whenever I have a failure in my personal life, let's say जैसे अभी I'm going through an ankle injury. Okay, so training is difficult for me because there are certain movements जिसमें मेरे को बहुत पेन होता है and I can't do them, right? Then I could just relate this story to saying, let's say कि I was building a brand on LinkedIn, but I got blocked, and I was getting XYZ amount of leads from there, but I could not do it anymore. So this is how I had to adjust and how I got results from it. Right? Made up a content idea on the spot. तुम्हारे लाइफ में जो कुछ भी हो रहा है, एवरीथिंग कुड बी मेड इनटू अ कंटेंट आइडिया, एंड दैट गिव्स यू बिलीफ कि एक टाइम पे वो चीज सही भी हो जाएगी. और इफ यू आर गोइंग थ्रू समथिंग रियली गुड, क्रिएटेड इन द मोमेंट. तुम्हें अगर आज तुम्हें अपना पहला बड़ा क्लाइंट साइन किया है, मेक अ वीडियो ऑन इट एंड पोस्ट इट टुमारो. ओके, it might not look much to you in the short term, but once you figure out your way of documenting your journey and talking about it, you will thank yourself that you made those content pieces. Any content piece you create, how do you add your documentation? How does everything make sense? Because you have taken note of everything and you are going through a story. तुम लोगों ने जर्नल करा है, तुम लोगों ने टू डू लिस्ट बनाई है अपनी, तुम लोगों ने अपनी रफ नोटबुक्स में लिखा है, तुमने अपने अलग वर्क नोटबुक्स में लिखा है, अलग अलग जगहों पे लिखा है. When you are creating content ideas, find a story and write it there. तुमने जहां कहीं पे भी आइडियाज लिखे हैं, यू हैव स्टोरीज रिगार्डिंग एवरीथिंग, एंड यू हैव स्टोरीज ऑल अराउंड यू. तो तुम कभी कंटेंट आइडियाज तुम्हारे पास में कमी होगी ही नहीं. एंड यू नो द बेस्ट पार्ट अबाउट दिस टाइप ऑफ कंटेंट क्रिएशन, इट्स यूनिक टू यू, क्योंकि वो तुमने अपनी लाइफ में जिया है वो सारा एस्पेक्ट, एंड इट्स यूनिक टू यू. दैट्स योर कंटेंट एंड नो वन कैन स्टील दैट फ्रॉम यू. आई गेट पोलराइज्ड ओपिनियन ऑन माई कंटेंट, पीपल सेइंग कि भाई तू क्यों एडवाइस दे रहा है, तू अगर लोगों को बोल रहा है कि यू शुड हैव हाई स्टैंडर्ड्स, तेरी खुद की लाइफ के स्टैंडर्ड्स हाई नहीं है. एंड आई एम लाइक, आई डोंट फकिंग केयर अबाउट यू, right? It's because मैंने स्टोरी जी है and you can't never take that, like you can never take that uh, away from me. इसके साथ में if you want to learn how to document ideas in a more structured way, अक्षत का video is amazing. I've seen it and I really like that video. So how do you build a brand with documentation? I am primarily all for Instagram, so I know my shit when it comes to Instagram. So you start a challenge but the right way. ओके, तुम ये नहीं करोगे कि दिस इज मी ट्राइंग टू मेक $10,000 इन द नेक्स्ट 30 days एंड आई विल शेयर अ स्टोरी एवरी डे. डजंट मैटर, क्योंकि वहां पे तुम अपने फेलियर्स दिखाओगे, तुम्हारी पोटेंशियल लीड्स तुम्हारे प्रोफाइल पे आएंगे, दे विल बी सीइंग कि ओके, दिस गाय इज अ कंप्लीट बिगिनर और दिस गर्ल इज अ कंप्लीट बिगिनर, डोंट वांट टू वर्क विद देम. अथॉरिटी गई वहां पे. सो हाउ डू यू डू द चैलेंज इन द राइट वे इज यू सेट एन एम्बिशियस गोल एंड यू अचीव इट, एंड इन ऑल ऑफ दैट टाइम यू आर डॉक्यूमेंटिंग एवरीथिंग. Once you have achieved it, that's when you make a series out of it. If I tell people that, okay, how do you go from zero to $10,000 a month? I didn't say it when I was not making $10,000 a month. I said it once I achieved it for several months. The biggest power when it comes to documentation is this: you win in private and then you share in public. It's cliche, but लोगों को अपने goals तुम अगर present में बताओगे, the energy will be taken away from you. Okay, because it's everywhere. There's a different chip on your shoulder when you are achieving things on your own and no one knows. इसके साथ में, if you want to build a brand, have one deep idea dump session every week. One thing that I do, and this is something that I learned in Tom Noski's cohort, and I didn't know that I was doing it. It's that spend about 80 to 90% of the time ideating, then optimize your schedule to create content only 20% of the time. Ideate करो, सोचो, platforms को समझो, understand marketing, learn copywriting, learn script writing, all of it. Okay, have one deep idea dump session every week and have several scripting sessions every week. So for example, if uh, I have 21 videos under ready to film, most of them don't even have a script. It's because मैं script लिखूंगा इन पे. I spent about 2 days finalizing the next bunch of ideas that I want to work on. And then I had some scripts that, like, I already wrote some stuff about, but then most of them are empty. And I just ideated all of these um, inside big idea dumps. And then now I'll actually start working on it. So I will then, have two scripting sessions on average to finish up one batch. And then I tend to finish about 15 videos in like 1 hour. So मेरा capacity ये बना है over several years, probably not going to work for you. So when you start, it will take a lot more time to film content, because it might take you 30 minutes to make one reel, and it's all normal because it took me 1 hour to make my first ever video content piece. Right, that was like 2 minutes archived ever. But right now I take about 3 to 4 minutes to film one video. Number three is you create content on authority and authenticity, or both. I think I said it the wrong way. Authority or authenticity, or both. Okay. Share lessons from your hustle once you have done it. Stories of you overcoming a failure because you have done it. And you share accomplishments once you have gotten it. One thing when you are documenting is you take as many b-rolls as you can. Okay. तुम्हें कोई expert cinematographer होने की जरूरत नहीं है. You just take b-rolls, राइट. एक ट्राइपॉड ले लो, टेक 15 सेकेंड वीडियोज ऑफ यू डूइंग समथिंग. तुम काम कर रहे हो, तुम स्पोर्ट्स खेल रहे हो, तुम वर्कआउट कर रहे हो, तुम लिख रहे हो, लाइक एनीथिंग दैट यू आर डूइंग, जस्ट टेक अ बंच ऑफ बी रोल्स एंड कीप देम स्टोर्ड इन वन प्लेस. राइट, मेरे पास में कंपनी का गूगल ड्राइव है. आई हैव अबाउट लाइक 16 TB ऑफ स्टोरेज देयर. सो आई अपलोड एवरीथिंग including my content and the client's content there. If you want to learn scripting, कोई बुक वगैरह मत उठाओ. स्टडी अदर क्रिएटर्स एंड देयर स्क्रिप्टिंग फ्रेमवर्क्स. ट्रांसक्राइब करो वीडियोस को जो बाकी क्रिएटर्स यूज कर रहे हैं, एंड देन ट्रांसक्रिप्शन में से फिर खुद के फ्रेमवर्क बनाओ. द बेस्ट फ्रेमवर्क फॉर कंटेंट दैट यू कैन यूज इज द फ्रेमवर्क दैट यू डेवलप फॉर योरसेल्फ. ओके, मेरे पास में अगर मेरे फ्रेमवर्क्स हैं, फॉर एग्जांपल इफ आई ओपन दिस एंड आई शो यू, if I have my frameworks, this is just the basic framework that I have. कि कौन सा pain point है जिसके बारे में बात कर रहा हूँ, and just the script. I don't follow any framework, okay, because I've spent that much time into it. But the best breakdown of content that you can do ever is whatever breakdown that you find. तो तुमने अगर किसी का एक वीडियो उठाया है and you want to do a breakdown for that, then just write whatever you feel was the actual framework that the creator used, and then take that framework, make it for yourself and add your story. एक चीज याद रखना, this is the long way to do content. Okay, you have to chase quality and then you have to chase quantity and then quality. Numbers are a matter of time. Okay, there's only so much that works on Instagram. Like अगर if you want to go the crazy route, you just improve the quality more and more. तुम भयंकर cinematographers ले आए, तुमने editing वगैरह change कर दिया, etc etc. But the essence of content on short form, it's again visuals plus copywriting. So steal frameworks and then add your story to it. Okay, don't try to be like someone else. उनके framework लो and then deliver it in your own way. You will never know कि मैं किन content creators से inspiration लेता हूँ, because there's so many. I take inspiration for probably all of my content ideas from other content creators, but I never make it that obvious कि मैंने कहीं से उठाया है इस चीज को. But then the way that I do it, end product मेरा original होता है, so I own that. Okay, so I'll just give you a bonus in understanding the status game as well. This is something that we'll cover in the coming months. So like I said right here, influence से control बनता है, control से तुम सबके एक step ahead जाते हो. Everything in content, it's a status game. Daniel Dallin did it, does it. Iman Ghazi has been doing it. Like उसका ईमान गाजी का एक separate team है that works on his carousels. उसका separate team है that works on his Instagram stories. Right, Hamza. These guys play the status game at a way different level than you probably think of, and even I think of. Okay, अभी इंडिया वाले स्पेस में the friends that I have, अक्षत, सुबह, बैंगलोर में जो अक्षत है, right, we all play status games in our own way, with content, and all that status is meant for earning respect at a bigger level and building our authority. So Instagram stories का सारा खेल होता है when you are documenting your journey, and whatever you share, it's building your status, right? तो जब तुम अपने Instagram stories पे document कर रहे हो, शेयर स्टफ दैट यू वांट टू बी नोन फॉर. तुम्हें अगर एज अ रीडर अपनी ब्रांड बनानी है, शेयर book snippets, share your thoughts, on what you learned from those books or podcasts or books, or sorry, or courses, etc. Out of context stories डालो, right? Have a story of a random scenery, that's it. तुमने 3 महीने पहले कहीं घूमने गए होगे, वहां की एक सीनरी की स्टोरी डाल दी, that's it. It's just you establishing your status. It's just that कि it's only a sneak peek right now, because status game को cringe करना बहुत easy होता है. Just one thing, जो ये documentation वाली सारी चीजें मैंने अभी तक बताई, of how you document everything and then how you share everything here, only share the things that goes with your brand values. Okay, if you have some hidden stuff that you believe goes against what you put out in the market, don't put it out. That's just easy. And then along with reels, along with video content, post images and carousels frequently, not as frequently as your reels, maybe like a 1:10 k ratio mein. Okay, and then put your thought into every single piece. There are so many creators in the in not just the Indian space but everywhere that do it and it's just cringe. Like लोग Pinterest से photos उठा के status game बना लेते हैं. But apart from that, this is a sneak peek on something that I'm gonna cover at an insanely high level. This video will probably not be for everyone, but it will be very useful once you achieve something through here. Okay, because there's a certain game that you have to play uh, on social media to be able to build status in a way in which firstly you are taken seriously, and then get to a level of influence where people are like, borderline preaching you. There are ways to do it, but apart from that, just remember, quick summary, right? You have to build influence. Okay, no matter what system you have, if your thinking isn't right, तुम्हारा system कुछ काम नहीं करेगा. You need to understand documentation, because the power that storytelling has, you don't understand it right now. I mean, take Iman Ghazi for example, right? अभी के अपने वो हर वीडियो में बोलता है कि I have been documenting my journey since 2015 and all the videos are there on YouTube. तुम कितना भी ईमान गाजी को बोल दो कि अब वो स्कैम करता है, you question him on whatever he does, but it's that you can't you can't challenge the proof that he already has, right? I did it to a degree, and then there are levels to it. I have a long way to go as well, right? Understand कि गोल सेटिंग कैसे करनी है डॉक्यूमेंटेशन के साथ में. Document everything that you are going through in your life. Okay, keep personal and public matters aside. Take stuff from personal, then make it public, not the other way around. Okay, you document for yourself, you document through other great sources, you journal content ideas, you document ideas. अक्षत वाले वीडियो में देख लेना. Start building your brand through documentation. Okay, more around content creation and other modules, but get your mind right when it comes to documentation. Start developing these systems. Notion पे templates बनाओ, Google Docs में templates बना लो. No one, like, nobody cares. Even I don't care कि मैं क्या कर रहा हूँ. I just have to get things done. Okay, so learn documentation in that way, and I'm telling you, documentation will change your life if you do it properly. Okay, so yeah, I hope this video was very helpful. People who are from ECB, this is like another tier to documentation that I taught you guys, क्योंकि मैंने भी काफी सारी नई चीजें सीखी हैं उसके बाद में. But anyways, hope you guys like this video, and yeah, बाकी बाकी भी देख लेना. Bye.